Hello and welcome to my studio. I'm Jessie and this is the Knit Up and Dye podcast, episode 69, That Moment When. Why did I name it that? Because this past week I have had so many different moments. I've had moments of gratitude, I've had moments of disappointment, I've had moments of joy, I've had moments of frustration, and I've had moments of insanity. So let's kick in. I always start with my thanks. Special thanks, as always, go out to my subscribers, new and ongoing. I love you guys. What you see here is all about you, and I'm always looking for feedback as to what you want to see. If you have questions, if you have things you wish to have discussed or demonstrated, just let me know, and I'll do my best to add it in for you. Hello and welcome go out to Singing Wolf Dye Works, Coupon Fairy, Margaret, and Anna. You guys are wonderful. Thank you for adding me to your day. Special love and thanks, as always, go out to, I have a list, Rosalie and Margaret of Whiny Knitters Podcast and Yarn Matrix, Sonia, Patricia, Lisa Lette, Elaine, Cabby, Tiffany at Tippy Tree Yarns, Carol, Kath, Catherine, Wendy at Baba Yaya Podcast, Tina, Elise at the My Two Tips Podcast, Lamore, Vishon, Marie, Teresa L, Diane, Barbara, Linda, Bex, Wheezy, Cindy, Christy, Neetsy, Charlotte, Chris, Roseanne, Linda, Marie, Leanne, Eve, Linda, David, Donna, Betty Ann, Scott and John over at the Sweet Tea No Shade Podcast, Carolyn, Kate, and Terry over at Unwound, Nancy, and Rachel. If I missed you, I am sorry. I love y'all, and I'm so grateful to have this community, and you guys, this is it. This is the best. A warm hello and thank you, as always, goes out to my patrons. You honor me. Thank you for making this possible. Well, life has been interesting this week. In my household, we have had what I'm referring to as the Appliance Apocalypse. Tuesday at 5:30 in the morning, as I was putting on my makeup preparing to go to work, I heard from my kitchen a very dramatic, "Oh no!" which startled me, and my husband came around the corner with a great big pout on his face and announced that the coffee maker had died. I was able to replace said coffee maker by the end of the day, but it was a hard day, believe it. We have our coffee every morning. We're not prone to buying coffee at retailers or fast food places. So we went without for one day, and it was a really good reminder that I have somehow managed to get addicted to caffeine again, and that I need to get off caffeine again. Also, yesterday, Sunday, as I was dyeing yarns, I had some special orders that I needed to finish up. My countertop spin dryer decided to die. I love that thing. I am so disappointed. I have reached out to the vendor that I got it from. They're checking with their supplier to see what they can do for me. I miss it already. Oh, that was awful. That was awful. So, those of you who are superstitious may already understand my concern. I'm a little bit concerned that this is going to be like celebrity deaths. I'm hoping that maybe the death of my cell phone earlier this year might have been the first one in the set of 3. Otherwise, there may be another appliance threatening to kick off. I'm a little bit terrified of that. I'm hoping that it's not a major one. These weird superstitions that we have. So, there have been some moments this week. What have I been doing? I have been doing everything. It has been insanity as well. I've been doing a little bit of dyeing. For those of you who catch this in time, my anniversary sale is still going on. It goes on through May 31st. 30% off everything in my shop, including custom orders. Now is your chance. If you have a favorite colorway that you'd like to get a sweater quantity of, put in your custom order now. Contact me. Even if we don't complete the sale until the end of next month, get your order in now and I will honor that coupon. The coupon code is MONKEYTURNS3. Again, that gets you 30% off everything in my Etsy shop. Patron yards, my Patreon program. I have dyed the Patreon yards for this month coming up. The next drawing is June 2nd, and I'll give you a sneak peek on those next episode. They're not dry yet because my spin dryer died. I really had hoped to give you a sneak peek this week. There is still time to sign up to get in on it for this coming delivery. You've got until the end of the month to sign up, and that sets you up for the next whole month. So those, as soon as they dry, I've got stuff to show you. I'm excited about that. I've also been dyeing yarns in anticipation of kits for my Farmhouse Shawl, and I'll come back to that. There have been a lot of moments this week. Moving on, because this episode's likely to be long. I have a lot to talk about. I've got multiple sheets of paper here. Knitting! I got some knitting done this week. Yay! I worked on my Lost in Space socks. Let me lunge and grab. These are socks I'm knitting from a blank that I had designed, and I have one whole sock done. And the foot looks incredibly short to me. I have big feet. I'm knitting it with more negative ease than I usually do. I love this yarn. This sock blank was so pretty. But I knit the foot shorter with more negative ease. There's a lot of stretch involved here, and that stretch does fit over my foot. It just looks funny to me. I'm so used to knitting to my true foot length, and I've recently discovered this may not be the best thing for me, for my foot, as it helps felt my socks a little bit too soon. And if I'm wearing something with an open top on it, there's a little bit more bunching than I'm comfortable with. So I'm adding some negative ease. These will be the test pair. I will see if I can live with this much negative ease. And if I can, wow, socks are going to knit up a lot faster. I did a pattern on these. You can't see it. It is a eyelet pattern in there. It's very pretty, but you got to get really close to it to see it. I will likely be writing up this pattern and releasing this pattern, as I really liked it. It was a fun pattern. It was easy to work. It's pretty, just not in such a busy yarn. And I'm going to come back to that too. So it's coming around. This sock is done. The second sock is cast on, and I am kicking right through the leg of that. This is my travel knitting. This travel knitting goes with me and is what I do during my morning commute while my husband is driving, and it just brings a sense of peace into my day. Currently at work, we are coming up on end of month, which is always busy. We are into the early summer months, and so people are starting to take time off. And we have had some rollover in one of the other departments. So I'm basically 3 people right now because I'm covering vacations and I'm helping fill in while people are trained up in the other department. And so things are a little bit hectic, and my morning commute knitting just gets me in the right frame of mind, zens me out, takes all the out of the morning, like when you find out your coffee maker isn't working, and lets me walk into work open-minded and relaxed. And boy, that is worth everything. That is so valuable. Knitting is wonderful, isn't it? I have not worked on my Venetian Dream sweater. That design is by Josie Paquin. I randomly told you guys, I think last episode, that I was probably only 2 or 3 weeks out from getting that done. And then I immediately put it on the back burner, so I'm 2 to 3 weeks from now to getting that done. I need to work on it. And my plan is this afternoon to set aside time for just me to do nothing but knit. Ah, won't that be lovely? I'm really excited about that. I'm really excited about that. I also worked on my adventurous wrap. I refer to this on Ravelry as my I Blame Carolyn. If you follow me on Instagram, you saw that I was blocking it. It's done. It's done, and I actually had to bring it home from work to be able to show you guys. I love it. The colors are so beautiful together. It did grow quite a bit. Not quite as much as I wanted it to. I'm going to swing it around here so you guys can sort of see. It's lovely. When the air conditioner is just too much at work, I reach into my desk, I pull this out, I swing it around my shoulders. I'm going to use the camera here as a mirror for just a second. I wrap it around me, my arms are free to work, and I just have this lovely wrap that keeps me warm. It is so nice. It is so nice. I'm letting it live at work. I am quite literally just leaving it locked up in my desk at night. It is there if I need it. It's comfortable, it's warm, it's big. If I get too warm, I simply unwrap it. If I'm really frozen, I can drop it down and put it in my lap, or I can really spread it out and wrap it around me like a big old serape, and I couldn't be happier with this. I am so grateful to Carolyn over at Unwound, who knit this first and was the inspiration as to why I knit it, because I just loved hers so much. And hence why I blame Carolyn for getting me into a giant garter stitch pattern. Really a lovely pattern, really an easy knit, fun construction, interesting. I'm sorry, I'm looking to see if I have the name of the designer for you. All the papers I got kicking around, I don't have this pattern kicking around for you. It's on my Ravelry project page. Or previous episodes, I know I've called out the designer on this. Great project, really a great project. And despite its size, it's actually a really quick knit. Interesting construction, easy construction, and you can do so much with it. It was designed as an Advent project, so you can do it with a whole bunch of minis. I chose to do it with 5 different skeins of yarn that I had on hand. I have a lot left over. I could legitimately knit another one of these if I just rework the order that I did the yarns in, and I think it's beautiful. I couldn't be happier. So, yay! I finished, I did a thing, I finished a thing. And that's in great shape and will be going back to work with me tomorrow. How to eat an elephant blanket. This has been parked for a very long time, and I was feeling really bad about that. It sits on the table next to the sofa so that it's in ready reach for evening knitting if I'm watching TV. We haven't been doing that much lately. We have warm weather, and we take advantage of that. We spend our evenings generally sitting out on the patio. It gets dark quick, which isn't really conducive to knitting. My husband pulled out the camp headlamp, and yes, I sit on my patio with the headlamp on and I knit. Why not, right? But I got some work done this past week on my How to Eat an Elephant blanket. The formula for this, if you are interested in making one similar, is in my Ravelry project page, or you can email me and I'll send it to you. Fun, easy, you can do it with a million scraps, or if you wanted, you could coordinate skeins of yarn through it. I've done mine in such a way that I have a very stained glass effect by framing each of the squares in black. This past week I did from here to here. Trying to line that up for you. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 squares. I made progress. I'm really excited about it. It's beautiful. I was able to incorporate some of my more recently used yarns into it, It's growing again. I feel like I'm making progress and I'm happy with that. This is a forever project. I'm not going to knock this out this week. It's one of those things that is going to be burst and burn. I'm going to work on it this week. Next week I really need to work on my sweater. We'll see what happens. I will try to actively keep a progress keeper in it so that I can give you updates, because I have a number of you that have written to me and said, are you working on it? Thank you for nagging me. Thank you for nagging me, because this is a favorite project. This is an heirloom project for me, in that I hope it long outlives me and is appreciated by people after me. There's a lot of heart put in this, a lot, and a lot of great memories. And I want to finish it before I'm finished, and your encouragement is everything. Not that I'm going anywhere. Not that I'm going. You're stuck with me. I'm sorry. I'm not. You're stuck with me. So I did make good progress on this, and I feel really good about it, but I am going to shift gears again and try and get working on that sweater. It would be really nice to get it finished, and I love it so much, so much. So I love all of it. It's knitting. It's lovable. What else have I been doing? The Farmhouse Shawl. Oof. So, we're having a design along. We're having a design along. You're welcome to join anytime. You can hop in. There wasn't a specific you have to start date. It is open to knit and or crochet, any project of your own design. Modifications, that's the word I was looking for. Modifications of existing patterns are allowed, but they must be significant. Make it your own, please. Designs take time. I understand this. Boy, do I understand this. And the design along is open until September 1st. That's when we're going to close it. Our theme, the theme that we voted on, is connection. You are welcome to use that as your jumping off point on your design, or pick your own path. You do whatever works for you. Please feel free to post images in our voting thread. As you have things done, please put them in your finished objects thread. Share with us. Show us what the yarns are you're working with. Show us sketches or ideas or thoughts. Ask questions. Intermingle with your community. They may have a solution, or they may have an idea that will send you in a different direction and make you that much happier with your project. There is a thread there for chatter and progress. Feel free to participate. We're not real active. You're not going to drown in conversation. Just come share. Be part of the community. We do have an active call for donations because there's going to be prizes. I have not decided on the criteria for prizes. It may be random generated. It may be favorite project if we do a vote. We've got until September to sort that out, but we're gathering prizes because I want to honor the time and the effort that goes into doing this. Absolutely. We most recently have a donation from Rosalie of the Yarn Matrix. She's also one half of the Whiny Knitters podcast with her sister Margaret. They are wonderful. Pop over, check the podcast. They are great fun to watch, and they have wonderful chemistry together. Margaret makes project bags. Rosalie has recently launched her own line of yarns. They're beautiful. Her Etsy store is lovely. Check them out. They are fun. Rosalie, as I said, has offered to donate some of her beautiful yarns and has kindly agreed to split her donation to cover a prize for the design along and a giveaway for those of you that are not doing the design along. We're hammering out details now. Stay tuned. I will have more information for you. I'm really excited about working with her. I've been watching her podcast. I'm trying to catch up on podcasts. She was a new podcaster to me, and I jumped in and I started at the very beginning and I watched a couple episodes, and then I hopped up to more current. It's consistent. It doesn't jump around all over the place. You can see progress in their projects through time. Their chemistry is wonderful. It is lovely to sit down with two sisters that honestly love each other and have fun and can laugh. And it doesn't hurt that they sit down with a glass of wine either. It's always fun to watch the progression from the beginning of the glass toward the end of the glass, and how much fun you have when you drink wine. I love it. I have no criticism of it. I think they are great fun. Cheers, it's water, but my glass is raised to you ladies. Thank you for sharing. So, as part of the design along, I have dedicated to designing, redesigning, working up, issuing my design of the Farmhouse Shawl, which you see back there. And I'm keeping it there so that you guys can see it there, and so that you nag me. And you've been wonderful about that, Sonia, thank you. I'm actually doing it in 2 versions. I'm going to issue it in a 2-color version and a 3-color version. And the reason that I'm not just writing up the pattern and releasing it is because the original was in kind of a funky gauge. The gauge was a yarn that's listed as, I believe, a sport. It's not a true sport, it's not a true DK, it's not a true fingering. It's kind of thick and thin, and it's very lovely, but it acts more like a hand spun. And I wanted to reknit it in a more standardized yarn that is widely available so that anybody could do it, and get the pattern written properly for that. That changes gauge. When you change gauge, there's a lot of math. There's a lot of math. I sat down, did my swatching, I sorted out my gauge, I did some bad math. I've cast this on 3 times. 3 times. The most recent cast on was this morning, and 3rd time's always the charm. Always the charm. To reverse engineer a project, like I said, takes math. And this is not math between changing from 6 stitches per inch to 8 stitches per inch. This is math to changing that, but then matching certain rules. This particular shawl, I'll pull it forward, has a lace section in it. Very simple, very pretty. It has a rule. In order to get it to repeat, you have to match the repeat with your stitch count. So, when you change the gauge, you have to change your stitch count, and when you change your stitch count, you have to match the rule down below. So you actually have to do your gauge, then match your rule, then work backwards to figure out what your cast on is going to be. To further complicate things, which that one wasn't too hard, you then have to calculate what your end stitch count is going from the lace down to the edge, because this particular edge is a knitted bind off edge that you attach as you go. In order to make that line up nicely so that you have each end complete the lace, you have to match the roll. So your end stitch count matters too. A lot of design considerations. A lot of changing. A lot of changing. Not much changed with the design itself. All the changes were in math. There might have been the addition of 1 additional stripe or 2 to get the math to work. But once the formula was figured out, this was knit some 3 years ago, we were good to go. However, when dogs are jumping in your lap and your husband needs you to run to the garage to hold the dead end of a wrench, a lot of interruptions mid-math with that flow interrupted makes for fuzzy math, and fuzzy math is not good. Fuzzy math is not good. So there were some fails. There were some fails. I hammered it out again last night. I redid the math again last night. I proved it out last night. This morning, in the bright light of day, I redid it again, and it still came out right. So I'm calling it good. I've cast it on, and Fingers are crossed. That covers the 2-color version, and I'm going to get the yardage sorted on that as I go forward. I need to get a nice big section of it done to see that everything is cool before I start to do the math for the 3-color version. And very excited about that. I have started to dye yarns so that there will be kits to match what I'm dyeing, so that if you love it, you can get the same thing. And we're aiming for September, guys. We're aiming for September. Stay on me. Keep me active on this. We're going to do this together. It's amazing what you can do together, isn't it? This week, I had a lot of mail. Those moments when. That moment when you receive a package in the mail and you realize that you are an adult. You realize that you are an aging adult because you look at the package and you can't recall what you ordered, and you begin to wonder if it was the bread mix or the potholder loom. And could it possibly be here so early? And then you look at the package and you realize, really, this is an envelope, and bread mix, unless they took it out of the box and poured it into the envelope to ship it to you, which could happen, or the loom has been crushed beyond repair. It's neither of these things. And still you ponder. I received a gift this week in the mail, and I am flabbergasted. I am honored. It brought tears to my eyes. You guys are amazing. You are wonderful, and I have to thank all of you, but most specifically Marie. I had told the tale of losing my number 2 47-inch circular needle. It was, I believe, an Addy. I left it behind in the garden at work, and it did not make it to Lost and Found at work. And while I was disappointed that I had lost something, I wasn't heartbroken at losing that particular item because the needle was a liar. It was mislabeled. But I had had a loss. And Marie, thank you, paid attention, and with unbelievable generosity and kindness, purchased me a replacement and shipped it to me. There aren't words. There aren't words. Thank you. Very, very nice note came with it. Hi, Jessie. I heard that you were blessed with losing your Addy needles, so I felt compelled to get you a replacement with a pair that I hope you'll enjoy as much as I do. Enjoy your gift as I enjoy watching your videos. Marie. This is unexpected. This is nothing that I call for. I do ask you guys for donations for things that I'm going to give to other people. Thank you. This is a heartfelt gift, and it means so much to me that you pay attention, you hear me, and you want to do things for me. I can't thank you enough. There aren't words. There aren't words. Thank you. This just speaks to how wonderful a community we have. And unfortunately, we're kind of a quiet community in that this isn't the community you run into out in traffic or at your grocery store. What is out there has a tendency to be distracted and full of static and stress. And this intimate community that we build in the privacy of our homes, that we share through technology, it is so heartfelt and so generous and so kind, and I'm so grateful for it, and I'm so grateful to be a part of it, and I hope only to foster more love and kindness and support within this community. And thank you for the gift. Thank you for the message that this is happening, and there aren't enough words. Thank you. I received a lot of mail this week. No, my loom has not arrived, nor has my bread mix, but we'll get there eventually. I received a wonderful email this week from a daughter writing on behalf of her father, and I have permission to share this, and I'm going to. Dear Jessie, I wanted to write to you to let you know how much we enjoy watching your podcast. My 78-year-old father and I watch regularly as we are both knitters. My father won't use a computer. They are evil. And I cannot get him to go with me to knit night. No one wants to sit next to a grumpy old man, and I have no choice in the matter. But he is insistent on watching your podcast with me each week, and is very disappointed when you skip a week. Please try not to. He says you should be a weather girl, as you are, quote, a damn sight prettier than that fool getting it all wrong all the time, and smarter too. It would make his week if you would answer a question for him on the podcast. Dad likes to knit hats, but lately his ribbing always seems to stretch out too much after the first wash, and then it's too big for the hat. What can he do to prevent this? Thank you in advance, Maggie in Roxbury. P.S. You're welcome to share my email in the podcast. Dad is a great sport and a real character. His name is Arthur. Maggie, your email is fabulous. Thank you. Boy, did I laugh the first time I read this through. My husband thought this was particularly wonderful as well. Arthur, I love you. I love you. You're wonderful. You are a slice of joy in my life. I will never be a weather girl. I'll never be a weather girl. And outside of predicting the weather by looking at a rock and seeing if it's wet, it must be raining. If it's tumbled, it must be windy. If it's dry, it must be sunny. That's the extent of my weather forecasting capacities, and sadly I do recognize that that is often more accurate than what I get from my weatherman as well. You are a character, and I have great love of people with character, and I thank you for being a fan. Thank you for watching every week, and I will endeavor to keep the weekly podcast schedule for you. Thank you. So this is an interesting question. This is a really exciting question, actually. And Arthur, thank you for asking. Maggie, thank you for using the evil technology to get it to me. So what I'm gaining from this, because I don't have a whole lot of information to work with here, but what I'm gaining from this is that it sounds like a change that has happened more recently in your knitting, that you didn't have this problem before, but it's starting to happen. These things happen. This happens as we get more comfortable with our skill set. My excuse is that I'm getting older and a little bit less uptight, and therefore I'm getting more relaxed with my stitches. And I find that I'm having kind of the same thing happen, where my gauge is a little bit looser, my ribbing is a little bit more relaxed, not quite as elastic as it should be. And I think that we have a similar problem here. So I have solutions for you. And I have all my notes written down here because I really wanted to think about it and dedicate the time that it deserved rather than slapping out an answer to you. There's a lot of different things we can do. There's a lot of different things that we can do. The first thing that I would attempt, the first thing I would try using a needle that is 2 sizes smaller, just for the ribbing, than for the rest of the hat you're going to work. Why 2 sizes? So for every needle size that you change, it is going to change a half a stitch in your stitch gauge. This is a general rule. It's a guideline more than a rule, but it's a useful guideline. So to tighten things up a little bit, especially for ribbing that you want to have be kind of a holding thing, I would suggest going down 2 needle sizes. That will take a whole stitch per inch off. So instead of being at, say, 6 stitches per inch, you're going to be down to 5 stitches per inch. That's going to tighten things up considerably. Even with laxness and stretch, it's going to bring things in enough that it'll fit better. Another thing you can try, and this is kind of a design change, so you're going to want to watch your math on it, make sure things are evenly divisible. If you're working a 2x2 rib, which is 2 knits and 2 purls, this is the most stretchy rib out there. Consider changing to a 3x1. 3 knits, 1 purl. The math is still a 4 count going around, so it should be okay to substitute. It should be okay to substitute. But you're going to be purling less. And my suspicion when I sat down and I played with this is that your purl stitches are the ones that have a little bit of extra slackness, and that's what's translating out into too much fabric when you wash the project. Transitioning between moving your yarn back and forth is often where we get extra yarn and where things start to loosen up. Whereas when we initially start to do these things, we're so focused on making sure that the yarn is in the right position that we have a tendency to be a little bit tight with these things. I know mine has relaxed, I know my ribbing has relaxed, and it's simply because I'm not as focused that it has to be exact or right. Another thing that you can do, and this is so that you're not changing your rhythm. You already know that you're knitting and purling and you do like a 2x2 rib, is consider changing the knit stitches to a knit through the back loop. It causes a twisted stitch. A twisted stitch is locking that yarn in, and so that when you pull the ribbing apart, when you do the elasticity part of the ribbing, that twisted stitch doesn't have anywhere to go. There's less material in it, and it locks it up a little bit. It trims the elasticity, so it doesn't stretch quite as far because it's less giving. You may find that this helps tighten it up and hold that a little bit tighter. It just decreases the elasticity of it, so if you have extra yarn in there, it's got less pull. Try these solutions. Get back to me. Let me know if they work. If this is a question that pertains to you out there other than Arthur, let me know. Was this useful to you? I would love to hear from you. Arthur, you're a delight. Thank you. Maggie, thank you so much for reaching out to me, and I couldn't be more thrilled. This is wonderful. Thank you. And certainly anybody with questions, that's why I'm here. I love to do this. I love to do this. I had another question this week as well. I had a lot of mail this week. Question about pairing yarn to projects. This is a common question, and it's kind of the bane of indie dyers. When you're selling your yarns, one of the very first things that buyers want is to know, how is this yarn going to knit up? And there's often pressure in our industry to have swatches available of all of our colorways. I don't have time to do it. I don't have time to do it. Nor do I have the excess funds and budget to have samples of every one of my colorways. I just don't. To that end, I can educate you about how to look at yarn to see how it's going to knit up, but I'm not going to have a sample for you. That's a lot to ask of an indie dyer. We are really tight budgeted. We're trying to do art that we love, and we're trying to share it with the world. And as convenient and wonderful as it would be, I think you'll find that the majority of companies that have the luxury of offering swatches of their stuff are either really high producing or are commercial brands. So, how do you tell? Let's discuss how do we tell. I pulled 3 yarns out of my stash, and each of them is by a different dyer. That is only to honor the dyers that I love. But each of them is an example of a type of dye that you see in indie dyes. And so let's talk yarn. This is a semi-solid tonal. You can tell because you see some variation in the tones in the yarn, but it's primarily a solid blue. This gorgeous yarn happens to be Supernatural Yarns by Shannon Shaw, and the colorway is Professor Lockhart. It's on her mermaid sock. It is 100% merino 2-ply, 400 yards, 100 grams. Beautiful. This is a semi-solid. By comparison, I have a speckle dyed, highly variegated yarn that is blues and greens and yellows. It's gorgeous. This yarn is Tippy Tree Yarns. It is called Changing Aspens. This is by Tiffany Fobby. It is a superwash merino single, 100 grams, 384 yards. Just another beautiful, beautiful yarn, but wholly different. Wholly different. I have one more yarn to show you. This is a hand-painted yarn. Whether it was done in a kettle, a pan, laid out on plastic, and actually had the ink hand-dyed to it, you can see significant blocks of multiple colors, and they are bunched together. This gorgeous yarn is by Cappy. Cappy is the yarn and I. This beautiful yarn is Love from Lisa. It is 100% superwash, 490 yards, over 100 grams. Again, 3 wholly different dye styles. Try and show you. How do I decide which one I want for my project? How do I decide what project I could do with either, any, or all? You want to be sure when you're selecting yarns for projects that you do a number of things. You want to honor your project. What does that mean? Look at the project. Is your project garter stitch? Is it stockinette stitch? Does it have lace? Does it have cables? You want to assess your project first and determine what features it has visually, textually. Each of these yarns will react differently in those environments. This will do cables and lace beautifully. This will do garter stitch beautifully because every one of those little pearls popping up is going to be a different color, and it's going to feature the aspects of this. This can do garter. This will be gorgeous in garter. Lace is going to start to hide in this. Cables will be pretty, but you'll want to do a big cable, not little cables. They will disappear in this. Texture will be beautiful, but if it's a motif that you specifically want to see, it's going to drown and disappear. Too busy, too noisy for that kind of a thing. This yarn depends on whether you're working in the round or back and forth. And again, honor your project. Look at the project, look at the instructions. What are the instructions doing? Are they working back and forth? Are they working in the round? Depending on your stitch count, and this is where magic number comes in, and I'm not going to go deep into details in magic number, but depending on your stitch count, these colors are either going to variegate beautifully back and forth, variegate beautifully in the round, or they're going to pool or flash, where colors group together as they go through. Unless they are grouping together beautifully, you have the exact magic number for those colors to pool perfectly together. You're going to lose lace, you're going to lose cables, you're going to lose detail. This is the perfect yarn for stockinette, garter, but not so much with texture or lace. It's just too much. Part of that is because of the high contrast between the colors. And if you want a good way to look to see how high contrast or low contrast a yarn is, snap a picture with your camera in black and white. Black and white, you can readily see contrast. If it's blurring together and they're shades of gray, you can do more with it than if it's high contrast. The contrast is going to take detail away from you. Beautiful yarn, pick the right project for it. Once you've honored your project and you've chosen a type of yarn that will work for whatever texture, whatever lace, whatever stitch is involved, whether or not it's back and forth or in the round, you want to then honor your yarn and the yarn dyer. This is a beautiful yarn. If I try to knit cables in it, your eye is going to be so busy trying to see the pattern, trying to see the cables, that it's going to detract from the color, and you're not going to appreciate the yarn. This is a gorgeous yarn. If you do an intricate lace with this that is tight gauge, your eye is going to be so busy, so confused, looking for the eyelets, looking for the stitches pulled together, looking for the flow and the image of the lace, or the motif if you're doing texture, that you're going to lose the beauty of the yarn. They're going to negate each other. They're going to confuse each other. They're going to knock each other out. Honor the yarn. This can do anything. It can cable, it can stockinette, it can texture stitch, it can do anything. Honoring the yarn at this point is looking more at the item, looking more at the motif, looking at the theme, and making sure that the color you've chosen makes sense against it. I would not use this in a flame design unless it is the bottom stitches of color work to indicate the blue in flames. I would use this in a heartbeat for anything with waves, wind, water. Honor the color. Make it its best friend. Make it a perfect match, a pair, a harmony. Likewise, a garter stitch in this, it will sing. It will be beautiful. All pearls reverse stockinette. It will sing. It will be beautiful. Honor the yarn. Honor the dyer who put time and effort into it. This beautiful yarn, stockinette, all the way. A vanilla pair of socks. These colors are going to chase each other around in a spiral and just be the feature of that project. They're going to be gorgeous. Shawl, wrap, where you work out that magic number and these colors pool or even go so far as to make an argyle, which can happen with magic art, magic math. Make it sing. Show how beautiful those blues and golds and maroons and browns interact with each other. Stunning. Stunning. It's all about choosing the right project. All about it. So you've honored the pattern. You've honored the yarn and the dyer that made it. Honor yourself and what you love. If you're looking at this and you're going, oh, that needs to be cables and lace, I would not recommend it unless it was a big, broad, open, simple lace. But if that's what makes your heart sing, if that's what you want to do, if you like the look of it, that's all that matters. That's all that matters. Empower yourself, do what you want, express yourself, be the artist, and use the paintbrush and do what you want with it. Any of these can be a gorgeous project. Any of these will work. It's about choosing the right thing and looking at the right factors. This is a really brief overview. I did not open these up. I did not show you how the colors laid out. I'll do one just to show you. But unwrap your yarns, take a look at them, really consider back and back what the project is going to be and what you want it to be. In the round, at this stitch count, things are going to pool. In the round outside of this stitch count, things are going to start to get noisy. It's really up to you and what you're looking for as an end result. Best thing to do is unwind it, look at it. If you're buying yarns online, this is me. I suspect it is most vendors, especially on Etsy. Contact us, reach out to us. If that picture is not showing you what you need to know in order to make an investment in yarn, contact us, let us know, ask us. Could you open the skein and shoot a photo for me? Could you pair two skeins together and show me what they look like next to each other? Could you describe that blue for me a little bit better? Or could you tell me what Crayola crayon it's closest to? Ask questions. Ask your dyer, what kind of a project would you recommend for this yarn? Do you think it would be too busy for cables? We're going to answer you honestly. We're going to direct you as best we can. It should be a two-way communication. It's a relationship. It's a community. Use it. Use it. It's a really high-level answer to a big question about pairing yarn with projects. Gauge is also important. You don't want to substitute a really fine yarn in a pattern that looks beautiful with big chunky stitches, and vice versa. There's many details to this. If there is an aspect to what I just talked about that you would like me to delve deeper into, contact me. I would love the guidance, I would love the questions. We'd do this. This was response to mail, and I'm always open to mail, obviously. High level. Do what you love. I also had mail very recently, I believe it was today or last night, that reminded me about a blog post I did back in May of 2017 regarding a website. And I'm warning you right now, I'm hopping on a soapbox for just a second. This website is a privacy nightmare, and I want to bring it to your attention again. I think it's important that you know about it and have the opportunity to protect your privacy. The website is called truepeoplesearch.com. We all know that privacy is an illusion in the technical age. If you don't know, hello, I'm going to wake you up. You can learn all kinds of stuff about people online. And I often have people write to me and ask me questions about my own privacy concerns as a business owner, as a podcaster, where I have my address out there in the public. Do I have people that show up at my house that think that I'm a retail location? Do I have people that stalk me? It's scary. It's scary. I'm reaching out to the whole world here. And privacy is important. It really is. This is one of the ways you can fight it. So this free website allows you to look up anyone. All you have to do is type in their name. You can get their current address, past address, phone number, list of relatives and associates. Terrifying. Terrifying. If you haven't heard about this, go check it out and prepare to be violated. You're going to feel at risk. You're going to feel really exposed. It's awful. But do go. Even if you don't do a search, there is a remove me button there. You don't have to be exposed. You don't have to be at risk. This is a violation of your privacy. It's a great tool for anybody looking to steal identities. It's a great tool for evil people of all kinds. Yes, Arthur, you're right. Computers can be evil. I agree with you on many levels there. Go and get yourself removed. Believe it, I am no longer on it. I believe I have removed myself as well as most of my family. Searches indicate that minors are not listed at this time. I randomly plugged in a work associate, just his name. I know exactly where he lives. I can click on a map and see an aerial view of his house. I know the names of his siblings, his parents, his children. One of his adult child is listed. Phone numbers, past addresses. I called him and I said, get off this as quick as you can. He was horrified. He has an ex-wife with a jealous boyfriend. These things happen. They're sad realities, folks. They're sad realities. But do check out truepeoplesearch.com. Get out there, remove yourselves, protect yourselves. That's it. My public service announcement is complete. My soapbox is vacated. Thank you for your time and attention. I love you guys. Be safe. Moving on to happier things. Plans. That moment when you realize you're insane. Moments, all these little moments. Moments where you realize you're at risk. Moments when you realize you're insane. Moments when you realize you're getting older. Moments when you're blushing because there's a knitter halfway across the country who thinks that you're smarter and more attractive than the weatherman. Thank you, Arthur. I love that. I'm making plans. I'm making a lot of plans. First things first, we're going to do a knit together community mixer. I've talked about this in the past 2 episodes. It's going to be very much like a pen pal swap, but we're going to use yarn as our jumping off point. If you're just joining, the plan is I'm going to dye up a bunch of yarns, and they're going to be exclusive one-times, and there's only going to be 2 skeins of each colorway. There's going to be a sign up. You're going to sign up to participate so that I get a head count. And then there's going to be a period of time where they're available in my shop in an exclusive area for you guys, where you each go and you buy 1 skein. Whoever buys the matching mate for your skein, we're going to swap just email addresses or just Ravelry IDs. We'll sort that out as we get closer. And you will have a jumping off point, an introduction to meet this other knitter. And you'll already have something in common. You'll have the same skein of yarn. And you will have the opportunity to have a knit pal to converse with, to share something with. It's a community mixer, and I hope that you will all participate in this, that you will find the joy and the fun in meeting somebody that you have that much in common with, whether it's just that you watch my podcast, that you love to knit, and you love those colors. We're going to do this in August. As we get closer, there'll be a sign up, and I think this is going to be great fun. I'm excited to do it myself. I will be discounting these yarns way down, to make this as affordable for everyone as possible. I want people who otherwise would look at this as a financial challenge to not have that fear and to have this opportunity. So I'm working with you, folks. I'm working with you. I really want everyone to have the opportunity to be involved in this. I think it's going to be so much fun. I'm also planning to do a YouTube Live. What is YouTube Live? How does that work? YouTube Live is exactly like what we're doing right here, right now, where you're watching me sit here, run my mouth, except it's going to be in real time. It's going to be live. And over here on the side of your screen, you're going to have the opportunity to type comments to me, to type your questions to me in real time, so that I see that stream coming up and I can respond to you, I can answer your questions. Your username would be there, your comment would be there for public viewing, nothing else will. It holds your privacy for you, versus having an open chat where people might not be comfortable being on camera. I'm going to be the only one on camera. I would very much like to schedule this. I really would like to do this. I think it would be great fun. It's your opportunity to put me on the hot seat. But in order to plan this and schedule this, I need to know when you guys think you might be able to log in and do this. So I'm looking for, if you're interested, please let me know what time of day would be comfortable, available for you. what your time zone is. Because if you tell me 9 a.m., but you're 7 time zones away from me, I might not schedule it in your time window. And what day of the week is preferable? Once I get some feedback, we're going to schedule one of these. I'm going to give you plenty of advance notice. We're going to give this a try. I think it's going to be fun. I think it would be neat. Anyway, also, things I'm planning. Are you a podcaster? Am I subscribed to you? I'm calling out to you to come forward. Email me. Send me a link. Let me know about your podcast. Even if you think I might already be a subscriber. I would like to do a special episode where I talk about my favorite podcasts. I tell you guys all the time, I love Elise over at Two Tips Podcast. Her work is beautiful. I enjoy her sense of humor. I enjoy her down-to-earthness. She's great fun. Whiny Knitters, just told you guys about them today. I recently discovered them. Two beautiful sisters, very talented and very fun, with so much love. Sweet tea, no shade. Scott and John, I love you guys. The chemistry between these husbands and their bravery and endeavor to jump into projects, to do this podcast. They're a year into their podcast now. Their sense of humor, their interaction, I love them. I love them. Oh, if they would make more episodes. Guys, a little bit more often, please. I love talking about other podcasters. I love sharing them with you. The things that I love, I want to expose to you guys so that they get the attention that they deserve, honestly. So, I would like to do a special episode where I talk about the podcast that I love, and this may be your opportunity for some exposure. So introduce yourself, step forward, simply an email to me, and I'll go over and take a look. And don't feel like I'm going to go, well, I watched this website and the podcast was kind of slow and boring. No. If for any reason I don't love you, and I would be surprised, I'll tell you privately what my concerns are, and that may, I don't want it to be insulting, never, but it may be something that gives you the feedback that you needed in order to make changes to make yourself happier with your own podcast. I'm much more fair than that. I'm much more open-minded than that. And I'm going to look at the best elements of everyone and introduce you based on your best elements, because what's not my taste is somebody else's taste, and somebody else will love you way more than I will. Not possible. Not possible. I love you all. But I'm always going to feature people in their best possible light. I honor you, I respect you, and the time and dedication it takes to sit down and do this. This is the quick and easy part. Then I have to go and edit it. I have to watch this all over again. I have to insert the emails, and I have to compress and upload, and this is hours in the making, guys. And I have love for everyone that takes the time to do it. It is a gift. It really is. I'd love to hear from you about your podcast. Don't be afraid of it. Step forward. Show me what you got. I'd love to share you with the rest of the world. Thank you. Also, in loose planning, because I'm insane, I did tell you I'm trying to design 2 versions of a shawl currently, right? I'm toying actively with the idea of doing advent calendars this year. Possibly 2. As a child, I loved advent calendars. Absolutely loved them. I do them to this day. Whether it's the nice, pretty printed one that's on the refrigerator and I open the little door every day to see the little candy inside, or Santa at Christmas, they bring me joy. And they give me a moment of reverence in a time of year that is hectic and stressful for me, and is full and difficult, and my favorite part of Christmas, my favorite part of the holiday season is the home, the quiet, the peace, the reverence, the memories, the traditions. And I really love advent calendars. So I was thinking very much about doing yarn advents, and I have seen these out there. I've never done one. I've never offered one, nor have I ever received one or purchased one for myself to do. The little chocolate ones, yeah, I've done those. I've done those, but I've never taken part in a yarn one, and I'd very much like to produce one. I think that would be great fun. So I have a couple of different ideas that I'm toying with. One is a classic minis, where you get a mini each of the days, and quite possibly a full-size skein for Christmas. There's another one that I'm toying with doing. I'm considering doing a dual offering, where there would be a pattern broken down into clues, and there would be minis associated to each clue, so that from December 1st through to Christmas, you would have a project, one project, that you work on in your quiet time each day, that is not overwhelming, that is not 24 skeins you're trying to keep up with knitting every single day, that is a single gift to yourself, straightforward project with a whole month to accomplish it. I look at the other advent calendars where there's yarn every day and there's different clues, or there's this pattern that you're trying to accomplish. I get stressed out and overwhelmed just thinking about it. You see me with all my projects going on. I have so much going on already that the idea of trying to accomplish one project in that time that's that big, that massive, is too much for me. So I'm thinking of a smaller, simpler project. I would love to hear your feedback on this. The kit one, the clue project one, I'm talking about having everything you need included in it, and each day getting a piece of it. This takes a lot of planning. It takes a lot of math. There's a lot of logistics that have to be sorted out. I have to source materials. I have to dye yarns. I have to coordinate things. I have to design a pattern. I very much would like to do this. Whether it happens this year or next really depends on the interest. So if you love this idea, if you're excited about it, if this is something you would participate in, or if you've done them in the past and you have hesitations or have stresses that you can communicate to me, or issues that you've had with them in the past, I'd love to hear from you. I would love to hear from you. Please reach out, contact me. I love the interaction I get from you guys. It helps me make all kinds of decisions to offer better things for you. That is everything. My goodness, we've gone a long way into this. I may well break this into 2 episodes. That'll give Arthur, that'll give you a spare week built in there, so that if I take a week off, I'll still be there for you. I'll always be there for you. Last, but certainly not least, if you don't know about my Patreon page, please have a visit. Consider offering your support. There are benefits at every level of contribution. Chances are very high in the drawing levels that you may be the next winner. The next drawing is June 2nd, which is our next episode. I'm very excited to announce that your Patreon funds will be being put to good use in the very near future. We are investing in some upgrades to lighting. Perhaps you noticed my color is a little bit better, I hope. But we're also upgrading some sound quality. I know that sound quality is an issue. I have watched other podcasts where I often watch them on my smartphone in the garden at work with my earbuds in, and I have that pegged. I'm getting the little warning notice on my screen that you shouldn't listen to things at high volume, it causes hearing damage. I still can't hear it, and I know that this is the bane of most podcasters, is fighting with the technology, fighting to be heard and seen in best lights. We're going to improve our sound quality in the very near future, and it's your patronage, it's your donations that are making this happen. Thank you. It's going to pay out well for you as well. Stay tuned. It's only going to get better, folks. that's it. That's all. You know, I didn't have much for you. I love you guys, and I am so grateful for this community, for this opportunity, for this venue, and I just want to make this bigger and better every time. Have a great week. Go have a moment of your own. Bye.